AI plus XR, the future of medical device education.
Hello, thank you everyone. I'm Dan Donovan. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Mesmerize Group. We're a group of companies that focus on the kind of intersection of artificial intelligence and extended reality technologies and how we can apply those to, we do this in several heavily regulated industries, but healthcare is a particular focus of ours. So we talk a little bit about how those technologies can both extend the reach of education in medical devices, pharmaceuticals, and in healthcare in general, and a little bit of the work that we've been doing on innovating those technologies in that direction. One of the biggest global problems right now, and we've heard a little bit about this in other presentations here, is that there is a massive talent shortage and a skills gap that has emerged, and you know, this was first a generational problem because the generations that are currently in the workforce are the smallest generations in 100 years, so we had a shortage of people to begin with. And then after the COVID pandemic, that exacerbated so many of the qualities of that labor gap, with people taking early retirements or changing careers or switching to situations where they could work from home. And with that, the next generation entering the workforce has entirely different expectations than the people currently in the workforce. That's expectations about everything, about what their career is going to be, the learning path to get there, the outcome of that education and learning path that they're on, and also the expectation of just things like physical location and how digital the workforce has become. This is even true in healthcare. So the way that we deliver knowledge and the way that we upskill people, and to some extent the gateways that we use for saying this person is now qualified or competent to do this role, hasn't really kept up with all of those changing expectations and the changing workforce. So about a year and a half ago, we started working with colleagues at the Mayo Clinic, and we sort of posed these questions about how can we use these emerging technologies to address these issues and, you know, improve the quality and availability of medical education, extend the reach of the experts that we do have in the workforce today, and make better, smarter use of the huge amount of data that we've all been collecting and organizing for the last 25 years at least, all toward affecting better outcomes, of course. So the solution and the reason why we're only able to do this now is really a combination of three things from our perspective. One is we have to find ways to use immersive experiences and augmented reality and these kinds of technologies to increase the number of locations, if you will, that where learning can happen. Because this idea of bringing everybody into a room with 30 people at a time, with one expert who is purveying information to those 30 people, doesn't really work anymore. We need a more distributed model of dissemination of information. AI is allowing us to really create digital twins of medical experts now. And some of the areas of innovation that we'll talk about here, we're currently working on this as a whole industry, how to make these things reliable so that we can trust them. That's actually a digital version of one of my Mayo Clinic colleagues, Dr. Jonathan Morris, who's been really instrumental in the work that we're doing as well. And then we need to bring these things together in a platform that means that you can roll them out at an enterprise scale across entire hospital groups, entire national healthcare systems, and entire medical education institutions. And that has really been missing, is a missing piece in how these technologies have evolved. I'm going to skip through a lot of these slides very quickly. I've put more information in here than I have time to get through in 10 minutes, but you can download the presentation later. These technologies aren't new, is really the point. Some of these papers go back to 2003, 2002, in particular about immersive learning. We know that it's very effective. This was a study of studies that looked at over 14,000 papers that have been written in the last 25 years about immersive learning and what types of education you can accomplish with immersive learning and have better or equal outcomes to in-person education. So what's been the problem? I mean, we can produce these things. This is a Mayo Clinic immersive training experience around this ECMO device, which has allowed it to really reach parts of the world where it is not possible to bring experts there to do in-person training. In particular, there was a hospital group in a remote area of New Zealand that, you know, there's no way to get the right people there to do the training and travel from there for all of the physicians and other people who need to be trained on this device. To have them travel to other parts of the world for training is also prohibitively expensive. So this video was produced at Mayo Clinic at a cost of, you know, around $200,000 US, and it took about 4 months to get this thing together because you need a lot of people, a studio, and all of that. So the issue with this is then, as we produce these things, they become sort of orphaned assets. Once they're produced, they sit in a corner and gather dust, and they're only useful for this one thing. And if you want to produce the next one, it's another $200,000 and 4 months of time in order to produce the next one. So that's one of several barriers to adoption of these technologies. So we know they're effective, they're very expensive to produce, and they're not very maintainable. This term AI, we hear it all the time now. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting these days. Those of us who work in AI have kind of two times, and there's a date in the middle. Everything before November of 2022, we sort of consider the before times, and then all of a sudden in November of 2022, now AI is magic and it's going to solve all the world's problems, right? In fact, these technologies, including generative AI, are expansions of techniques and things that we've been working on for 50 years plus. We want to focus on using these technologies for what they're good at and not using them for what they're not good at. This is a summary of sort of how people are using them today, creating these retrieval augmented generative applications, and there's a lot of detail here that we don't have time to get into now. AI suffers its own barriers to adoption. A lot of them are around accuracy and relevance and how can we trust these things, right? So when we start to combine these things now and think about it in a future-looking way, there are things that we can do. For example, putting these AI-driven experts into immersive training situations that really allow us to extend the reach of the body of medical knowledge that there is in the world, increase the pool of people who are not just going through the steps, but getting real experience without having to all be in the same location, and you put more people on a path to real competency that way. So, where are we innovating? Well, we, along with our colleagues at Mayo Clinic, are building a platform that allows us to do all of these things. One is make it easier to create these experiences in the first place. So we're using AI to generate 3D experiences and really take down the cost and time that it takes to produce them. And you'll see a video in a second that will show you what I mean by these things. We are also working to solve the problems of reliability, accuracy, and trust in the AI that's driving these applications. Mayo Clinic in particular has spent a lot of time and effort over the last 20 years digitizing and anonymizing and removing bias from massive sets of data, something on the order of 30 petabytes of data. And so we can now use that combined with AI technologies and some of the innovations that we're making that ground these things in the truth in order to create true digital experts that can help extend the reach of the knowledge that's out there. And do all of that so that enterprise things like how do we maintain these and version control and how does it evolve along with the rest of the world and all the data privacy and information security and regulatory things are just taken care of by the platform from the beginning. So I'll end with video that demonstrates sort of end-to-end what I'm talking about here. Hopefully the sound works. No? Oh, okay. I'll do my best to do a live voiceover of this. So this is our process by which we can generate some of these 3D experiences. And so the idea is to get you about 80% of the way there without a human having to touch anything. So what we're doing here, we're uploading a 3D model, a CAD model of a CT scanner, and also uploading some technical documentation that goes along with that CT scanner. And then the AI itself is marrying those two things together. So what it renders out the other side is a 3D version of that CT scanner that also is tied to all of the technical information in the document that you've uploaded. And then you'll see, it's too bad the sound doesn't work, but this is the 3D experience, so it always looks a bit weird on 2D video. But you can imagine standing in this experience. You've now got the CT scanner there. You have your AI-driven expert who you can ask questions about the CT scanner. So I didn't mention earlier, we're starting in medical education training because there's less regulatory pressure and less risk, obviously, than starting in clinical situations. But here in this 3D experience now, you can pull up the documentation, you can pull up any other reference material, could be radiological imaging that you're pulling up and asking questions of this expert. And then it's nearly done. I know I'm out of time. But in addition to that interactivity then, you'll see in a moment it's going to walk through a procedure for, I think, for cleaning the scanner. And you'll see these 3D tags that are there that illustrate various parts of the machine that the AI is talking about and all these things. So we're moving towards a world where you can generate this kind of thing. It no longer takes 4 months and $200,000 to do this. And the idea is to create an environment where all of these things are available in any kind of medical education environment that you want. So it runs another 30 seconds or so, but I think we get the idea. I'm out of time, so that's it. Thank you.